Michael Carter stood in the county courtroom, wearing the only decent clothes he owned. A threadbare button-down shirt and khakis from a thrift store. He'd been cited for sleeping in his car in a public park. His third violation in 2 months. The judge, Honorable Richard Brennan, looked down at him with the same expression Michael had seen 100 times. A mix of disgust and impatience reserved for people society had decided were disposable. Murdoch Carter, this is your third appearance before me in 60 days. Clearly, warnings aren't working. I am prepared to impose a 30-day jail sentence, unless you can give me one good reason why I shouldn't. Michael gripped the railing, his dog tags clinking softly against his chest under his shirt. Your Honor, I'm trying. I'm on a waiting list for veteran housing. I have a job interview next week. I just need a little more time. Judge Brennan's eyes narrowed at the sound. What's that noise? Are you wearing jewelry in my courtroom? Michael's hand went instinctively to his chest. It's my dog tags, Your Honor. I'm a veteran. The judge's expression didn't soften. I don't care what you are. You're in my courtroom, and I won't have defendants making noise. Remove them now. The courtroom went silent. Michael felt something inside him go cold. These tags had his name, blood type, and service number. They'd been around his neck for 8 years of active duty, through to deployments to Afghanistan. They'd been against his chest when his best friend died in his arms. They were the last physical connection to the person he'd been before PTSD and nightmares destroyed his life. What happened next would either break Michael completely or expose the judge's cruelty to people who had the power to do something about it. If you've ever been stripped of your dignity in a moment when you had nothing left to lose, stay with me. Your Honor, Michael said quietly, with respect, these dog tags are sacred to me. They represent my service. I'll be quiet, but please don't ask me to remove them. Judge Brennan's face flushed with anger. I don't repeat myself, Murdoch Carter. Remove them or I'll hold you in contempt. Michael's hands shook as he reached behind his neck. The clasp was difficult, his fingers clumsy with emotion. As he lifted the chain over his head, something inside him broke. He'd survived firefights and IEDs. He'd watched brothers die. He'd lived through hell and come home broken. And now a judge in a comfortable chair was forcing him to remove the only thing that reminded him he once mattered. As Michael placed the tags on the table in front of him, a voice cut through the courtroom. Your Honor, if I may. Everyone turned. A man in a Navy uniform, a commander by his insignia, stood at the back of the courtroom. He'd been waiting for his own case to be called. Commander James Wilson, Judge Advocate General's cause. I respectfully request permission to address the court regarding this matter. Judge Brennan looked irritated. Commander, this doesn't concern you. Commander Wilson walked forward, his bearing sharp and professional. Actually, Your Honor, it does. Under the Veterans' Rights Protection Act, forcing a veteran to remove military identification while engaging with government services, including courts, constitutes a violation of federal law unless said identification poses a legitimate security threat. Dog tags do not pose such a threat. The judge's face went from red to pale. I wasn't aware of that statute. Commander Wilson's expression was ice, clearly. But ignorance of the law is no excuse. as I'm sure you've told many defendants. Furthermore, Mr. Carter's service record, which I happen to know because we served in the same unit in Afghanistan, includes a Bronze Star for valor and a Purple Heart. This man ran into enemy fire to save 3 wounded soldiers. And you're demanding he remove his dog tags for making noise in your courtroom? The courtroom erupted in whispers. Judge Brennan held up his hand. Commander, I appreciate your input, but I run this courtroom. Commander Wilson pulled out his phone. And I appreciate that, Your Honor, which is why I'm documenting this interaction for my report to the Judicial Conduct Board. I'm also notifying the Veterans Affairs Liaison and the Media Relations Officer for the VA. This kind of treatment of veterans needs to be addressed. If this moment fills you with anger or recognition, share your story. Because veterans deserve better than this. They deserve respect, not humiliation from those in power. Judge Brennan's face went through several expressions before settling on something like fear. That won't be necessary, Commander. I may have been hasty. Mer. Carter, you may keep your dog tags. Regarding your case, I'm dismissing the charges. Please work with the VA liaison to secure housing assistance. Michael stared, unable to process what had just happened. Commander Wilson smiled at him. Put your tags back on, brother. The story didn't end there. Commander Wilson's documentation went to the Judicial Conduct Board anyway. An investigation revealed Judge Brennan had a pattern of harsh, demeaning treatment toward homeless defendants, particularly veterans. He denied reasonable accommodations, imposed excessive sentences for minor violations, and shown consistent bias against those experiencing homelessness. 37 complaints were filed by other attorneys who'd witnessed similar behavior. 6 months later, Judge Brennan resigned under pressure. His career over. Michael got his housing. The VA liaison, motivated by the publicity around the case, expedited his application. He got counseling for his PTSD, found stable work, started rebuilding his life. But the most important thing happened that day in the courtroom when Commander Wilson reminded him that his service mattered, that his dignity mattered, that he mattered. 2 years later, Michael attended Commander Wilson's promotion ceremony. Afterward, they talked. You saved my life that day, Michael said. I was ready to give up, but you reminded me I was still a soldier. Still someone who'd done something that mattered. Commander Wilson gripped his shoulder. You never stopped being a soldier, Mike. You just needed someone to see you. That's all any of us need. In a world where homeless veterans are often treated as invisible problems, rather than people who served, Michael's story reminds us that dignity isn't negotiable. That's someone who wore the uniform, who sacrificed for their country, deserves respect regardless of their current circumstances. If this moved you, advocate for veterans in your community. Speak up when you see them mistreated. Support organizations that provide housing and services. Because Michael was lucky Commander Wilson was in that courtroom. Thousands of other veterans face similar humiliation every day with no one to defend them. A judge ordered a homeless veteran to remove his dog tags. And what happened next ended that judge's career. But the real story is that it should never have happened in the first place. Thank you for believing that those who served deserve better. Thank you for remembering that dignity, once earned through service and sacrifice, should never be stripped away by someone who's never known what it means to serve.